There's something remarkable about the effrontery of politicians who not only promote themselves in cheesy photo opportunities, but also burn tax cash while doing it. And there's something even more remarkable about politicians who would prefer that people overlook the fact that the photo was taken at what became a political crime scene. That's the latest in the ever-unfolding origami of Minnesota Governor Tim Walz, the Democrat, and his bovine blundering on freedom of contract and the right to private property. Hi everyone, I'm Gardner Goldsmith for MRC-TV. You know, much like Maine Governor Janet Mills, the Democrat, got caught breaching her own tyrannical COVID lockdown orders when she took a picture with a fan at an ice cream stand in 2020. Tim Walz and Minnesota Senator Tina Smith, a Democrat and former Lieutenant Governor and former VP of External Affairs for Planned Parenthood of Minnesota, North Dakota, and South Dakota, well, those two have been caught in a photographic display of their own hypocrisy. And much like their attitude towards unborn human beings, it's probably something they would prefer to see destroyed. Breitbart's Amy Furr caught up with numerous social media users and reporters who noticed both Walz and Smith pictured holding donuts in front of a shop called Dobbs Cakes and Bakery. Of course, that was when it was open. Walz's unconstitutional 2020 lockdown orders destroyed that shop's viability after it had been a Minnesota fixture for 32 years. As with many such places in many states, the owners, well, they first tried to find a way to survive when Walz banned personal indoor dining or areas where multiple people could congregate. And thus, quote, on June 24, 2020, the Rock of Rochester reported that the business was closing one of its storefront locations. In a social media post, Dobbs said its South store would be open for a few more days, but would eventually shut down, and the business would not have a storefront. We are, however, taking orders online for cakes and some of our other delicious products, the post read. End quote. But that attempt to survive Walz's tyranny was insufficient for them to survive. Furr followed the story, seeing the sad and far too common ending. Quote, a MedCity Beat report on June 24, 2020 gave more details about the closure. Wednesday's news follows the permanent closure of two of other Dobbs locations in Rochester. Dobbs Down Under, located in the subway and the iconic main storefront just off Civic Center Drive. All three locations shut down March 22nd as a result of COVID-19, and the permanent closure of the first two locations was made public in mid-April, end quote. Of course, the MedCity Beat claim that the stores shut down due to COVID-19 is false. They shut down because the government, under Walz's edicts, forbade people from freely deciding to frequent the locations, forbade the Dobb owners from deciding for themselves whether to be open to willing customers. This is a profoundly important point. Since the U.S. government subsidized the artificial inflation of reported COVID-19 cases and deaths, no one will ever know how many people either contracted the disease or died from it. And regardless of the potential lethality or non-lethality of any virus, no state, federal, or local government or agent thereof has any moral or constitutional authority to forbid other people from engaging in freedom of association. In fact, in its contract clause, Article 1, Section 10, the U.S. Constitution strictly forbids any state-level government from interfering with the fulfillment of private contract, meaning that any employer-employee agreement, be it wages, hours, type of workplace, dress, or anything else to which the parties have agreed, cannot be annulled by the agents of the state government. Agents such as the tyrannical Walz and Smith come to mind. In fact, a lot of people not only would not have been forced to close their businesses and send their workers into the gray netherworld of unemployment, some of them would not have been sent to prison by Walz. One such person is Lisa Hansen, whom Furr rightly recalls is, quote, a grandmother in Minnesota who is now a former business owner and was jailed for defying lockdown orders during the shutdown. She has since warned that Walz will take Americans' rights away, end quote. Indeed, Ms. Hansen recently spoke to host David Knight and offered recollections of the ordeal that she and her husband experienced as they tried to retain their rightful control over their property, business, and freedom of association. The ability to associate or not associate with willing customers.
We realized this is not right. He does not have the authority as we started digging in and learning because David, unlike you, I have just started learning and becoming aware, my eyes opening really being opened in the last, 4 years or so. Shocking experience trying to wrap our heads around everything that we believed. Almost everything that we believed was a lie.
Walz ordered 2 phases of shutdowns, and upon that second shutdown, Hansen and her husband stood up for their rights. As Elizabeth Weibel wrote for Breitbart on August 13th, for her efforts in standing for truth and freedom, Walz's brown shirts sent her to prison and told her to pay extra over and above the taxes they demanded from her while she struggled to make her business a success, and then, of course, struggled to keep it open. Quote, Lisa Hansen, who owned the Interchange Wine and Coffee Bistro in Albert Lea, explained how after watching Walz allow businesses such as big box stores to reopen while keeping mom and pop businesses shuttered, she decided to defy the lockdown orders and ended up serving a 60-day jail sentence and receiving a $1,000 fine, end quote. Walz cannot make that reality disappear, just like he can't disappear the photo of him and Smith snacking in front of one of the donut shops their own edicts shut down. It wasn't the virus. It was the government. It was foul and corrupt and immoral and unconstitutional. And the loss of business freedom has seen massive economic repercussions. As Furr notes, the Med City Beat reported that Interchange Wine and Coffee and Dobbs Donut Cake Shop are just 2 of a long list of businesses that Walz's commands closed. Others included Jinpachi Japanese Steakhouse, a popular hibachi grill, and award-winning smoothie and sandwich shop Tonic Juice Bar. And Walz never even bothered to discuss the U.S. Constitution. Never mentioned the contract clause. Of course, it's no wonder. Simply put, the respect for private property and freedom of association not only are moral precepts, they allow people to decide what kinds of safety they prefer. No one forces people to walk into a store. People open their businesses based on the protocols they prefer, and they don't drag others inside. People open their businesses because they freely decide. And of course, others walking in can decide on their preferences for safety, mask gimmicks or not, and useless 6-foot distancing or not. But of course, Walz likely would not want you to remember that. Just like he probably would prefer that people forget the image of him getting ready to chow down on a donut made in a shop that he, in a completely tyrannical, utterly immoral, totally criminal fashion, soon would force to close. Thanks for watching, everyone. Please remember these points and share these videos far and wide. Find us on Rumble, where they don't censor us. We are, of course, still at the MRC-TV channel on YouTube. Double check over there that you're still subscribed. And, of course, find us all the time at MRCTV.org, MRCTV.org. Please consider donating to the Media Research Center to continue this work and the work of so many of the team. You can find that work at MRCTV, of course, .org. You can find us on TikTok, on Instagram, on Parler, inside Facebook, and on X. And if you want to find me on Gab, I'm at Gardner Goldsmith on Gab, and on X, I'm at Gard Goldsmith. Thanks for watching. Please share the videos for MRC TV. I'm Gardner Goldsmith.